Okay, hello and welcome back. This time we're going to do something a little different. Now, in the past, I did a critical review of Nightfall, the deck building game from AEG. It's a 2 to 5 player deck building game which is based on werewolves and vampires. Beautifully designed game, very interestingly designed game, especially from a deck building game because it involves competition where you're directly attacking and fighting against your opponents. But one that we felt was very confusing and very hard to jump into. I personally felt the first time I played it that it was a great game that just had a very high learning curve. At the time we gave it a mixed review. It was a middle of the road. We'll put some links into this so you could see that. But wanted to come back and look at it now that it is an iOS game. So we have our iPad in front of us. I do apologize, there is no Android version of this yet, so Android fanboys, you're going to have to hold your breath, and I would not recommend holding your breath because Playdeck hasn't done anything with Android for Ascension, so I wouldn't bet on this coming out soon. But that set aside, if you have an iPad or you have an iPhone, wanted to show you this, take a look at it, and kind of recircle it and see, does the iPad add anything to the game? Does it take away from the game? And just general overall thoughts. So we'll go ahead and jump in and I'll show you some of the things around Nightfall. Now, Playdeck, as you may be familiar with, is also the company that put together Ascension's app, which is wildly popular and very well done. Price-wise, the application is the same. It's $4.99, and you do get full access to all of the cards from the base set of the game. You also get 3 promo cards, but you do have to unlock them during achievements of the game. So JJ McTeague is the artwork. When you first come in, you get a nice little animation, which is kind of cool. And you have the basic options: play offline, play online, or menu. The first time you jump into this application, if you just jump into a game, it's going to be very confusing, quite honestly. So give you an example. Let's say this is the first game I'm looking at. What do you see? A lot, quite a bit. So the first thing you'll notice is you can click on your portrait and you can change your portrait to whoever else you would like to change it to. And there's a lot of different options in there. The second thing you notice is there's icons that you got to figure out. So you can turn on or off AI, you can turn on or off players. When you have a player, you can name them and name them whatever you would like to name them. You can also change difficulty of the AI. So you can do easy, medium, or hard. Hard is hard, I'll be very honest with you. The biggest thing that was confusing to me was, what the hell do these 2 icons mean? I can toggle between cards and a lightning bolt and a bloody eye or not a bloody eye. Well, quite frankly, what they mean after you doing a little bit of research on it is the lightning bolt is a quick game, meaning you do not draft your private archives and you do not draft any of the common cards. It's just randomly picked for you. Or the cards mean you will draft them. The eye closed means that the wounds are not visible. So the total amount of wounds left to deal out and the total amount of wounds each player has are not visible. Whereas the bloody eye means that they are visible and you can see them. I recommend the first couple times playing a game, go ahead and leave that eye open so it gives you a little bit better feel as to what's going on. The other thing, which is very, very subliminal, and I could not get it first until a friend of mine actually told me. Under details, you'll see a little N, and you'll see these 3 little red dots by it. Didn't understand what that meant until I started hitting achievements and unlocking cards. When you go into details, you'll notice first that there are different sets. So Martial Law, Blood Country, Coldest War, the expansions from the card game are in there. Not active, not there, but giving you the feeling that, of course, AEG is going to include them later on. Well, the base set, when I click on Nightfall, you'll notice I have 2 cards that I have unlocked. And you'll notice that when I tap on them, they go from grayed out to live and lit up. So I can choose to play in the mixed pool of cards with the promotion cards that I've unlocked during achievements. And I believe, if I remember right, you finish the tutorial and win the tutorial game to get Zombie Horde. You do a 4 or 5 player game and win with less than 5 wounds to get Shadow 7, and you chain together 500 orders, which are what the cards are called during the game, to get the 3rd. I really don't know how I haven't gotten that yet, because I feel like I've played like 40 games on this, but we'll leave it at that. So for the purpose of this, we'll go ahead and leave them on and come back, and you'll notice that now the red lights are green, showing me that 2 of the 3 promo cards are active, which is really kind of nice. Now, for sake of play, I'll just take this down to a 2-player game with 3-player game with AI and show you some of the differences here. When you create game, things start moving really fast, and as you can see, this is one of the things that is a little bit challenging with this game. There's a lot happening, a lot to keep up with. I have this set on fast settings. You can set it on normal or slow, but the more familiar you get with it, the faster you'll want to play along with this. Now, you'll notice there are the 2 players I'm playing against and myself. I have a very small white outline here, and you'll see it when I flip. If I flip to 2, you'll see the outline around AI2. You flip to 1, you'll see the outline around player 1. That takes a little getting used to, but you'll notice that as you click on their names, their archives change. So I can see AI Players 2 archives, and when I switch to AI 1, their archives as well. You can double click on the archives and pull them up. Some people have said they want this artwork bigger. I'm not too sure why. It's actually really nice. You get a good shot of seeing what they look like. You'll notice the cards are different in that the wounds are not around each side. The wounds will actually be blacked out as they get wounded, which is kind of nice. Now again, I am taking some liberty here and expecting that some people know how to play this game already, so I'm not going to go through and teach you how to play the game. If you want that, go check out our original review, and like I said, we'll put links in there for it, or I'm sure there's many other videos online that you could watch to get as well. But there is quite a bit that happens. One of the things that I do like, you'll notice I put out my first bad smoke. It now tells me what colors I can chain to. So it shows me I can chain another yellow. It shows me I can chain another yellow, but I don't have that, so I click done, and then it goes through my opponent's chain options as well. As the game progresses, not only will it show you what those chain options are, but it will show you the ability of what kickers, so that the kicker moons will actually light up, which is kind of nice. Whoops, excuse me, hit the wrong thing there. I'm just grabbing things randomly here to show you as we go through. So what that means is that, let's say for example, it is this player's turn is about to play. Well, he's attacking right now, and I'm going to go ahead and block. If it's another player's turn to play, let us assume that, and you see that it shows that I could play my Yuri. I'm not going to if you know the rules, but I could. Let's assume this was a different card other than Yuri, though, and let's assume the kicker was off of a green card. Not only would this card be highlighted, but the green moon for the kicker would also shine brighter and have a glow aura around it. So it's very good in showing you, hey, that card can be played, and that kicker can be gotten from it. So that sense is really, really nice. You notice, as we said, the wounds are on, so it shows there's 30 left in the pool, 10 per player, there's 3 players. Each player has that little blood symbol that shows how many wounds they have. Right now we each have 0, so the bloods are at 0. So it gives you an idea of the sense of the interface. The interface is really slick, very, very nice. Kind of, you know, some runes floating in the background, and just gives you that kind of vampire werewolf feel between all the different backgrounds that pop up during it. At any time, you can click on Archive, and the archive will spin out. The archive, of course, is the common cards. And then you can double click on your own or an opponent's private archives to see what they look like. Now, in terms of online play, there is some things to definitely talk about with online play. The first thing you'll notice, and I'll go ahead and connect to the server here, when you go under a game list and you search for Find Games, you'll notice the majority of them are 15-minute games. And it gives you all the details. It tells you how many people have joined, so in this game there's 1 person. It tells me he doesn't have any of the promo cards active, wounds are visible, and it's a quick game, not a draft game. But you'll notice the majority of them are 15 minutes. Now, why is that? Well, this is not like Ascension. This is not the kind of game where you play 1 turn online, put it down, and you can go work for 3 hours while you're waiting for your buddy to make his turn. This game, because there's so much happening between each player's turn, you may play, I may have something to chain off of it. If I'm not playing the game and I'm not actively online, that gets really annoying. Because what happens is you play your 2 or 3 cards in your chain, you cannot play the rest of your turn until after I'm part of the online game and put my cards into the chain. So this is really an online game that you want to play when both you and the other players are capable of sitting down and focusing on the game and not just kind of treating it as a side distraction. That said, it's a great online experience. It is only players online. So for example, I'll go ahead and create a game here. I can only add players, I can't add AI. So it's not a case of 2 human players and 3 AI to make a 5-player game. That would be a nice option. It's not a sticking point. but it is just something nice to be able to do. And then just like creating an offline game, you can come in and turn on which promo cards you would like. I'm assuming in the future you would also have the option of choosing which of the expansion sets you would have open as well. But in terms of online play, you have the same options. You have draft or quick, you have wounds visible or not visible, and you can change the time of the game. So you can make it up to, I think, 21 days is what it is the longest, which is a lot of time. But playing this game like that, where I put out my chain and have to wait for another player, let alone 4 other players to make their turn, it's just not quite as fun. So that's the only drawback to really playing online. Other than that, when you have players that are actively playing, tons of fun. So, at the end of the day, what can we give this in terms of a rating? Well, value is amazing. Again, it's $4.99. You get the same amount of cards and stuff that you would if you paid for the $30 game. But in terms of play style, I still do feel like this is a very challenging game. The AI is ridiculously good. When you crank up the AI and go to the hard, I mean, it is really good. Now, I really personally like that because I like the challenge of the AI for that. Some players may be put off like that. But really, this game shines when you're playing against another human. So the app does give you great ability to play by yourself for a while and practice and get better. But playing against a human is really obviously where it comes in and shines the best. At the end of the day, I'm really wanting to give this a crit because I feel like it's added enough to the game to make it a little bit better in terms of highlighting what cards you can play, what kickers you'll get, and making it just a little bit more hand-holding and a little bit more user-friendly. But really, this is a challenging game. So here's my opinion on this. If you are a hardcore gamer, if you love deck building games, if you love TCGs, this is definitely a crit. Go out and get it. I highly recommend it. If you're a casual gamer, this may be your chance to get into it and try it out for the $5 instead of spending $30 on a full game. But go into it understanding it's a hit. If you're a casual gamer, you are either going to really like this game or you're going to really hate this game. Majority of people I've talked to and played Nightfall with physically and now recently played with it on the iPad, if they're casual gamers, they usually lean to one side or the other of, man, this game is amazing and I got to learn it, or man, this game annoys the hell out of me and I can't even do anything with it. So from a casual perspective, if you are not a hardcore fan, I can't give it a crit. But if you are a hardcore fan, I'll give it a crit. I know that's confusing, but I really feel that this game is a very dividing game in that sense. Me, I'm a hardcore person. I really do like it, and I do give it a crit from a hardcore perspective. So I hope that this has given you enough insight into the application. Hope it's given you enough insight into the game to say, hey, is this something that if I own an iPad or I own an iPhone that it could be something I'd want to check out? But at the end, Playdeck has once again given a very slick, very clean presentation. They've proven that they just know how to make a good gaming application, and they do it for a great value. So we hope you enjoyed it. We hope you enjoy your nights with your vampires and werewolves. And as some of you may have seen, my name on Game Center is Tox219. By all means, feel free to reach out, send me an invite. We'd love to play some games with you. Have a great one, and thanks for watching.